Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Susan McGuire, Manager of Professional Development at ACCE, and I am happy to welcome you to today's webinar. Today we're going to hear from Nicki Anderson, President and CEO of the Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce, who will present today on customer care programs and how vital they are to member retention and overall chamber success, especially with increasing competition from other networking and business groups. In this webinar, you'll learn how to develop and implement a customer care program, the strategies that work and some that don't work, and how such programs can significantly improve your retention numbers. So before I turn over the program to Nicki, I do have a few housekeeping notes. First, attendees are in listen-only mode during the webinar to avoid background noise. Second, after the presentation, we will have time for questions. And you can ask those questions by using the question function of the webinar. The question box is on the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Just type in your question, and I will read the question to Nicki. We'll do that after her presentation. If we run out of time and don't get to your question, or if you have a question that you would prefer to discuss with Nicki individually offline, please feel free to contact her directly. She will have her contact information on the last slide. If it's something that we here at ACCE can answer, I'll contact you. Or if we don't hear from you, we will email you if we get a question that we just don't have time for in the webinar. So no worries, we'll get all questions answered. And third, this webinar is being recorded, and it should be up on the ACCE website on the ACCE University webpage by Monday, November 13th. I will also post the presentation slides along with the webinar recording. So, with that, I will introduce our speaker today. Nicki Anderson has been CEO of the Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce since 2014. She's a past board member, chamber board member, and a 20-year member of the chamber, and the first woman to serve as CEO. In addition to the chamber board, she also serves on 360 Youth Services Board of Directors, Samaritan Interfaith Board of Directors, and Idea Health and Fitness Advisory Board. And she currently serves on the Loaves and Fishes Community Services Advisory Board and 360 Youth Services Community Advisory Board. Prior to her role as CEO, she founded Reality Fitness in 1993, and this was one of the first in-home personal training businesses in the region. Reality Fitness went from a one-woman operation to a staff of 12 with the addition of a brick-and-mortar facility. She traveled all over the world educating small and large health clubs on customer service, marketing, and innovation. In 2000, she had her first book published and went on to publish 2 more business-focused books. She also became a regular columnist for the Sun-Times Media. Nicki lives in Naperville with her husband, Bill, and they have 4 grown children and 1 grandchild. So thank you so much, Nicki, for being here with us this afternoon, and take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Susan, and thank you for a little bit of that background because that does kind of set the stage. Thank you all for taking time out of your very busy schedules to join us today. I'm looking forward to sharing this information with you. As Susan mentioned earlier, my background and passion is customer care or customer service. I will be making some comparisons to the health and fitness industry simply because let's think about chambers for a minute. How many people will join a chamber, pay their money, and just expect magic to happen? It's no different in the health and fitness industry. People will come to a health club, put down their money, and expect magic to happen and not do anything. So there are a lot of parallels that I have learned in the chamber world, going from a business member now to president and CEO. So this information that I'm going to share with you has come from my experience not only as a member, but from my experience as a business owner and a lot of discussions with our members. So let's go ahead and move forward. So one of the things that I'm passionate about is doing things differently. I've never been known to do things the way everybody else does, so I love the term being a disruptor. I think we can all agree that now more than ever as chambers of commerce, we need to set ourselves apart. We need to be different and to kind of shift that paradigm from what people think chambers are into what we know we are and what we can be. So the idea is to be a disruptor versus being disrupted by some of the other small business organizations or even local organizations that are touting themselves as business networking, because that's the way we've always touted ourselves, as we're this great networking organization. So we need to think a little bit differently about that. And with that mindset, we need to change the perception from this to this. And it all starts with making sure we're giving our customers or our members, and I use those words interchangeably because if you think about it, our members are our customers. If they stop being paying customers, obviously we don't have a successful chamber. So it starts with giving our members what they want, not what we've always done. And that's, I'm sure, something that for those of you that have been in chambers for a long time, well, that's the way we've always done it. But the reality is, just because that's the way you've always done it doesn't mean that that's the way that it should continue to be. So there's a company that reported, Access Development, that 79% of customers would gladly take their business to a competitor within a week of experiencing customer service. And at the end of that, we know that that choice causes about $1.6 trillion in lost business from companies. And chambers are not exempt from this. I think we can all identify people that have left, and we don't know why, and we're going to talk about that in just a few moments. Nobody raves about average. Right now, I think that and I look at, where I was when I came into this chamber, we were definitely average. And my goal since the day I came in here is, what can we do that is above average? How can we wow our members and make their experiences within our chamber memorable enough to make them not only stay, but also to be an ambassador and an advocate for us. So now more than ever, I think we need to not underestimate the other organizations that are promising more for less. Again, think about other organizations in your area that tout, we have great networking opportunities, which is why chambers today, we need to be more than networking. I think we could all agree there's nothing more important than that face-to-face, because that's the way that you build those relationships and build that trust, but it can't be our only signature. We have to start thinking a little bit differently about what we offer that's above and beyond. We have to prove we're valuable to businesses. Testimonials. I think there's nothing more important than hearing our members telling great stories about our organization and what they have learned and how it's helped their business. Small, medium, and large-sized businesses, we need to hear those stories from all of them. Also, bringing our millennials on our boards, or if you have a junior board. That's probably been one of the most significant changes that we have made, and we've seen the result as a very positive one, and that is bringing millennials, or as I like to refer to them, the next generation of leaders onto our boards. We talk about diversity and the importance of diversity within our chambers and within our boards, and that diversity is what brings innovative ideas that we can carry forward to our members, which again creates that unique experience. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this as we move forward. And then realizing the power and the impact of your organization. I think sometimes we forget the power and the impact of the chamber. As I shared earlier, I grew my business through the chamber. I know the power that it has. I know the impact that it has, but we're not always helping our members realize that, whether it's through one-on-one encounters with them or for the programs that we present. The way to a customer's heart is more than a loyalty program. It's about creating experiences for our members that are memorable, that are worth talking about. That's what we have to start doing differently. Again, if you keep doing the same thing that you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always gotten. And I think as we look forward to not reinvent chambers, but to make them as relevant as possible and as interesting as possible, we need to make sure that we're making those kind of changes to make the experiences different. So, what are you doing currently to create unique and interesting experiences for your members? And I'll share some of the things that we're doing. What are you doing to discover your member needs? Are you the expert in your area? And I think being the expert in your area as a Chamber of Commerce, whether it's advocacy, whether it's programming, whether it's mentoring that you have, I personally think it's important to find 3 areas of expertise that fit each size of your business. So what are you guys really, really good at for your small businesses? What are you really great at for those medium-sized businesses? Because we know that what your large corporations need is significantly different from your small businesses. And very often we pool the things that we do all into one big pot as programs and events, which makes it very, very difficult for our members to distinguish what makes the most sense for them. And that comes with guidance and navigation programs. We have that. I'll talk about that later as well. So how are you the expert in your area that makes you more enticing and more interesting than some other group that might be less expensive, but we know not nearly the value that a chamber can provide? But if we're not telling that story and we're not letting them know what our expertise is and how we can benefit their business and help them to succeed, then we're going to lose them. And then there's, I think we can all agree there's nothing more important than delivering above and beyond and doing it consistently. I'm not proud to share that when I came into this chamber, the buzz around the members was, if you want to hear back from the chamber, wait 2 weeks. I'm happy to say we have changed that, but that was not something that any business wants to hear, grumblings from members or people in the community. So deliver above and beyond consistently, and that can change your business around. If you're not taking care of your customer, your competitor will. I think we can all agree with that. So with that, let's dig a little bit deeper into our retention strategy and what we did here at the Chamber of Commerce. So just to give you a little bit of background, when I came into this position, we had 5 CEOs within about 7 years. So there had been a lack of continuity, a lack of focus on member satisfaction, customer care, and really the mission and the vision of the organization. That makes it very, very difficult to have a strong organization that all understands the vision and the purpose of the organization and pushing it forward. So we were a little discombobulated, if you will. And so my goal when I came in is to try and create an organization that had buy-in not only from our staff members, which is probably the most important, got to get buy-in from your team, but ultimately that would flow over into the passion and purpose for our members. So what I did is when I came in, I assessed the retention over the past 5 years. I wanted to look at their numbers and see what it looked like, and to be quite frank, the numbers were not impressive. So then I started talking to members and asking them, and this was current members, I started asking them, how are we doing? What do you like? What don't you like? And asking them, how's business? How is your business doing? In Kyle Sexton's book, he says 80% of members don't show up for anything, yet we still talk about participation as the best way to get value from membership. So he says perhaps it's time to rethink butts and seats and say, what do you want? And I think we can agree that for a lot of our smaller businesses, that participation is absolutely key. They thrive on that interaction, that connection. And I think for all size businesses, it's still valuable, but it's what they get out of it ultimately and what they're looking for that separates the smaller business from the larger businesses. So we need to go back to Kyle's point, is asking them, what do you want? But here's the challenge. Sometimes they don't know. They join a chamber not fully understanding the depth and the breadth of what we could deliver. So they join and they don't know where to begin. So what I learned and what my team members at the time learned is that the greatest loss came from our first-year members. I'm thinking from some conversations I've had with other chambers that this is not unique to the world of chambers of commerce, that first-year members, if they don't get engaged right away or they don't know what to expect and nothing really happens for them, you're going to lose them. So what I did is I created a role called Member Engagement Coordinator, and I had this at my business. So that's where the idea came from. And this Member Engagement Coordinator, her sole purpose was to call all of the members that had left within the last 6 to 8 months and ask them why. Yes, it was a time-consuming job, but it was worth it because we don't know what we don't know. And if we're not asking these questions to these past members, we are not going to have any understanding on what is the real reason that they left us. I think there was about 232, and forgive me, I don't have that number in front of me, and I think we got about 60% return calls, which was absolutely fantastic. We did it both via email as well as phone calls and got back from about 60% of people, which we felt was outstanding. So when you acquire a new customer, we know how much more expensive it is to get a new one. So obviously these people that we lost, that's beside the point. We've lost them, they're gone, although we did bring some back, I'm happy to say. But we had lost these people that we were calling, so we didn't necessarily call them in hopes of getting them back, but most importantly to understand what could we have done differently for you that would have, increased your engagement and had you stay with us. The sad thing is people leave quietly. 90%, 96% of customers don't complain to the business, and of those, 91% never come back. So what does that tell us? Is that all these people that left that first year, we never knew why. If we don't know why, we can't fix it, we can't change it, we can't improve the quality of what we're doing. So here's what we found after we made all of those phone calls. And you guys hear this is nothing new to you, that 65% said, we just didn't have the time. Some said they didn't find value, and then the others were either out of business or a new business owner came in that didn't want to rejoin the chamber. And that's the world that we live in, so understood about that. But here's what's interesting, is that when we had a phone call, we got to dig a little bit deeper, and the person that I hired was magnificent, which is absolutely key in this role, and she was able to get a little bit more information out there. And what they learned was no time didn't mean no time. It's sort of like when people say, oh, it's too expensive. Very likely a membership isn't expensive unless they don't find the value in it, and that's when it becomes expensive. So this wasn't about the time. When they said, oh, we don't have time, that is an easy response. What we discovered is that they didn't get the direction that they needed when they joined. They felt lost. So you're going to spend money to join an organization that doesn't do anything to help move your success forward. Again, I'm going to go back to what I mentioned earlier about the health club, comparison. And that is, they joined and nobody helped them. They were on their own. And there is that small percentage, and I'm sure you have them at your chambers, that have this amazing ability to come in and they just dive in and get involved. But that's a small percentage. So for those other ones that don't have that type of personality or understanding of how to get involved in an organization, those are the ones that we lost, and they needed direction and we weren't giving it to them. The value piece, what we found was that they just didn't feel connected to the organization. That is our mistake, because we need to find a way from the moment that we send out that account executive to meet with that potential member, we need to be able to connect with them. That's initially how we bring them in, and if we're not able to maintain that connection, then clearly we're not doing our job. So the other was they felt the organization was cliquey. I think you can agree, and you likely have those members that have been members forever, and especially if you have ambassadors, and they always seem to be in that circle together chatting, and you've got all these people, new people walking in, and they're all chatting to each other. So I've made it very clear with our ambassadors that as much as I love seeing you guys connect, and I know how valuable your relationship is, we ask you to break that cycle. And that when you see someone that you don't recognize, your first inclination should be to go up and extend your hand and say, welcome. Because that will shift it. And we have done that, and there has been, we've noticed a dramatic shift from how people feel that sense of belonging shortly after they join. And then lastly, they don't like feeling alone. There's a very small percentage of people who come by, customer service skills naturally. I think the statistic's like 15%. The rest, that comfort with people, that ability to walk into a room and talk to anybody, that is not natural for a lot of people. So if they don't have the guidance or they're not connected with people immediately, I'm going to tell you they're not going to come to anything, because the last thing they want to do is walk into a room and be standing there by themselves and nobody approaches them. That is not a way to garner a long-term member. ACE Horizon Initiative has a great article about belonging and gathering. If you haven't read it, I would encourage you to do that. So phone calls resulted in helping us craft our survey. So after we did these interviews with all of these members that had exited, we then created a survey for our current members. These are just some of the questions that we posed based on your demographics and your market. You might be formulating some of the questions a little bit differently. But we did, I think it was 9 questions total, but I felt these were the ones where we got the most information. One of them was, how many events and programs have you attended the last month? Think about our retail and restaurant members. Those are the ones that rarely come to any of our events. They can't. What are we doing for that population? We'll talk about that in a little bit. How do you see the chamber stepping up to better support your business? One-on-one visits, more small group opportunities, teams. For us, our teams are together, we achieve more, and the idea is creating small, intimate leads groups within the organization. And I'll tell you, for people who don't like to walk into a room of 150 people, our teams have been very successful. We have 9 of them. And then Lunch and Learns, which our Speakers Bureau presents on a monthly basis, a free program to our members. They can attend. They don't pay a fee, but they are fed lunch, and it's a relevant topic. And we usually garner anywhere from 25 to 40 people for those. So it's a great opportunity for our Speakers Bureau, for them to get in front of our members and to share their passion for their area of expertise. And then field trips, perhaps maybe going to new businesses that come on board and visiting, and then having a presentation. So those were some of the questions we asked. I think a very poignant question is, would you refer a business friend to the chamber? And if they said no, we asked why. If they said yes, we asked why. What program topics matter to your business? This is one where I think we know, but we need to ask. And then, what is the best time for attending programs, if it's even an option? As chambers, we've always done 7:30, noon, and business after hours. But are there other times during the day for other businesses that would be, you know, more conducive for their attendance? So those were just some of the questions. So here's what we learned. A retention wheel isn't enough. I know that I've spoken to other chambers and they have their retention process, which is great, but it needs to have meat. It needs to have teeth. It can't just be these touch points and that's all you're doing. It needs to be deeper and more meaningful to your members. I think from what I've observed that we spend a lot of time talking about events versus finding other methods of assisting our members to feel connected to the organization. Because again, I'm going to go back to the gathering in the community and the Horizon Initiative, and it talks about how important it is for people to feel like they're part of a community, part of something bigger. And if we're not creating that opportunity for them, then we're going to lose them. Members felt like they joined and we didn't pursue their engagement, meaning finding meaningful ways for them to get engaged. Everybody wants to have a purpose, and if they're joining an organization, what is that purpose for them? And then, of course, people want to feel connected, which I mentioned earlier. So we have to make that happen on a case-by-case basis. So we also learned that social media is huge for our members. They love the opportunity to have a shout-out. Now, there's a fine line between advertising for our members on social media. You're going to lose any type of following if they see that you're advertising for your members. So where is that fine line between doing some great shout outs and highlights for your members? And I'll give you a great example of that. Recently, we had 2 women that are members of ours that got an exceptional award for women in business. And we put their pictures, people love pictures, but their pictures on social media along with a shout out and congratulating them. And I think last time I checked, we might have had 110 likes on that and many comments. So that was a win for those 2 women and their businesses, because obviously we mentioned that, but it was meaningful information. It wasn't just a commercial or a blatant advertisement. So we have found that if we can be really creative but meaningful with social media shout outs for our members, that there can be some great engagement and traction with that. We also found that we didn't take the size and type of businesses into consideration when we were planning things. Again, whether it's time, whether it's the topic, whether it's the location, that we really need to have a better understanding of our members and what they need and what they want. And despite our positive changes, people still don't get what a chamber does. I still go out to the community and say to people, do you know what a Chamber of Commerce does? And I'm a little disheartened sometimes, but then it just inspires me more to be able to get our members to go out and start telling the stories about the impact of the chamber, not only on businesses in our community, but ultimately on the community as a whole. So we need members to tell those stories because it's far more powerful from them versus just coming from me, because people know I'm a little partial. So. With the information that we gathered, we then created a member oversight committee. What we found is that our board had a difficulty understanding really our membership. We have huge businesses, large corporations that sit on our board. We also have small retail companies that sit on our board. It's a pretty diverse board, but they didn't really have an understanding on what we're doing for our members and why and what that process looks like. So we created a member oversight committee, and MOC, as we know, chambers love our acronyms, and it consists of 3 of our board members, 3 of our general members, and then our entire membership department, which is 4 people. We took our strategic plan, our retention plan, our mission and vision statement, along with the survey results, and we dug in. And what we realized is that we needed to start running the chamber more like a business and look at our members as customers. And what we all concluded was that we need to listen to our customer, and that begins by asking every single one, what do you want? What can we do better? How can I best support you? So what we did next was we hired another MEC, a member engagement coordinator. Her job became first-year member calls only. If you recall, when I initially hired a member engagement coordinator, her job was to call past members. And what we discovered during that whole process was that we were losing our first-year members. I mean, we were bleeding first-year members. So her job coming in was solely to focus on our first-year members. So what that looks like is that when a member joins with our account executive, the first email that is sent from our account executive after they have paid and they're a full-fledged member, that our account executive will then introduce her to our member engagement coordinator. And our account executive will say, hey, I'd like to introduce you to Jerry, who is our member engagement coordinator. Jerry's going to help you navigate through the chamber. I will still be here for you, absolutely, but just know that she will be your main contact when it comes to navigating through the chamber. From there, then Jerry will reach out to them. Welcome to the chamber. I'd love an opportunity to speak with you either via phone, a one-on-one meeting to connect and talk about your business so we can understand how to better serve you. I will tell you it's been phenomenal. Is it time-consuming? Absolutely. But when we saw the percentage of first-year members that we were losing, and we talked earlier about what it costs to lose them and to bring in a new one, it made all the sense in the world for us. Now, granted, when she starts off in January and she has 10, and then in February she has 20, yes, by the end of the year, she's got a full plate, but that's her sole focus is our first-year member calls, and it has been really fantastic for us. Then what we did next is we developed a more robust new member orientation, our MSO, which we call our member success orientation. And what has been exceptional about that is that we went from doing an every month new member orientation in which about 15 or 20 would show up to every other month, and we have about anywhere from 35 to 45 people show up. So that's really exciting for new members to come in and see these other new members and go, wow, I'm not the only one, and everybody's new, so they're sort of all in the same boat, and they immediately have this connection. And remember what I shared with you earlier, one of the reasons they left is that they didn't feel like they had a connection. And now, right there, their first meeting, they are making these connections, which makes their connection to the chamber overall stronger, which is great. Then what we do after our new member orientation is we follow it up with a networking class, because what we've learned from our survey and from talking to our past members was that they're not natural-born networkers. It's awkward for them. It's not comfortable for them. So they'd rather not show up versus having to walk into a room of 150 people and be uncomfortable. So this networking class is a wonderful way for us to reach out to our members and say, hey, let's walk you through the process and let's do a little role playing here on how to successfully network, because then you can take their personalities into account and help each one navigate a little bit differently. So that's been really successful for us. And then what we did is we redeveloped our retention plan, including our GPS program. And our GPS program is basically our mentor-mentee program. We had a mentor-mentee program, but people misconstrued that as a business mentor, where the idea of implementing that mentor-mentee was, if you're new, we're going to connect you with a mentor and they're going to help you, guide you through the chamber for 3 months and get you acclimated. But people were joining that thinking that they were going to learn about business. So we changed it to the GPS program, kind of updating it a little bit, and we have our navigator, which a good majority of those are our ambassadors, and some of our board members and general members. And then the traveler is the new member. And that's been very, very successful since we changed it and updated it, and we're very proud of that. And if you guys want any more information about any of this, certainly feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to share it with you. So this is what our updated retention program looks like. So our member joins. I send out a note to them, a handwritten note, and a packet, which I'm sure you all do, and then our member engagement coordinator reaches out and sets up that first appointment. Within that first 6 weeks of their membership, they attend the member success orientation, their networking 101, and then we encourage them to sign up for our GPS program so that they can have someone that they're matched with. And we have it for 3 months. So they have 3 months with that person, and we've seen some great, great friendships come from that. Remember, again, that feeling connected has been so important. In 3 months, our MEC, Member Engagement Coordinator, reaches out again just to assess their level of engagement. Now, the client management program that we have is web linked, so we have contacts. So Jerry will be able to go in there and see if they've been engaged or not, and have a better understanding of their level of involvement. So that tells her a lot. And either way, whether they've been engaged or not, they receive a call from her. Also, what you don't see in here is that the account executive that brought the member in is still connecting with them. So it's not like they hand them off to Jerry and they never see him again. It's, you know, they usually reach out at the 2nd month point and the 5th month point, but they also see each other at events if that member is engaged. I think at this point I want to mention how absolutely crucial it is for your account executive and your member engagement coordinator, even your membership team, to have great communication. When Jessica, who's our account executive, meets with these potential new members or new members, her collaboration with Jerry is key in making that handoff successful. So you just want to make sure that staff, they're all on the same page and have a clear understanding on what their mission is and their purpose is with every new member that comes through your door. So at 3 months, our member engagement coordinator just checks on their level of engagement and connects either, typically this is more done by phone. At the 6 month point, again, our member engagement coordinator reaches out. But this is a point where we encourage our board members to start getting out and start talking to our members more. How are we doing? Are we doing a good job for you? And it's also my opportunity to reach out to these members and ask the same questions. How are we doing? Are you getting what you need? And then at 9 months, this is when our account executive does her specific outreach, more structured outreach. And again, I ask from that list of potential renewing members, I call them and I say, how are we doing? Now, I get a list sometimes of 230 people that are up for renewal. Obviously, I don't have time to call every one of them, but I do reach out to maybe 20 or 30 and say, you know, thank you for your membership. You know, we are so grateful for your participation, engagement. Is there something we could do better to support your business? Or, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, or as a report card, how are we doing? And it just allows that opportunity for us to get some very, very valuable feedback. One of the other things that we've done that's been very helpful too is our 12 at 12. And what that is an opportunity for me to sit down with 12 of our members over lunch, and we typically have a company that donates the food so that we can give them a little commercial. And we sit around and we just talk about the chamber. We invite longtime members, some newer members, middle-of-the-road members, and it's a great opportunity for open dialogue, and it has been incredibly valuable. We learn a lot when we do that. And so imagine if we're learning a lot with that 12 at 12, what we can learn by just reaching out a little bit more actively and asking those questions. Are we doing a good job for you? Are we doing everything we can to support you and your business and the success of your business? And if not, what can we do better? Now, with all of this said, we know that you can't please all of the people all of the time, which can be frustrating. But I'll tell you what, if you're making more people happy than before, you're doing your job. Here's what we found as we've improved our strategy with member care or customer care. When we started, when I came in, we were about anywhere from 66 to 68% retention, and as you've seen through this process, we have grown to 86%. So when you talk about that member engagement quarter and saying, oh my goodness, that's all they're doing is working on those first year members, when you look at that kind of retention, it pays for itself. The money that we were losing when we were bleeding all of those new members was awful. Now that we're able to have that retention through the outreach of our member engagement coordinator has been absolutely vital to the success of our organization. So we know it's working for us. So what's next? I think it's important to set standards for your organization. Members need to have clear expectations when they join. And we actually had created a sheet that said what to expect when you join your chamber, because I think we could all agree that very often there are unrealistic expectations. I'm going to go back to the health club analogy again. You know, just because you join a health club doesn't mean that, you know, at the end of the year you're going to, have your dream physique. Same with when you join a chamber. Just because you join doesn't mean within a year you're going to triple your business. So we have to be very clear on the expectations and put some of that onus upon them, right? But we have to give them that toolbox that they can use to be successful, and that comes through that outreach and that connecting as soon as they join, and providing programming and things that make sense to their business and engage them. So if your members have clear expectations, they're not going to walk away disappointed. So I'm going to show you our standards, but if you don't have one, this will be an example, and it's important to have it around and to share it. So our care standards are everyone has a voice and an idea that matters. Listen, we all have chambers, members coming up and say, hey, I have a great idea. I always listen, even if we did it before and it's old and tired and it didn't work. I never share that with them. I thank them for that. And most importantly, I follow up with it. So if I see them 2 weeks later, I'll say, you know what, hey Bob, thanks so much for that idea about programming. I've passed it along to our events department. I really appreciate you keeping an eye out for us. So you let them know that you're listening. Members are our number one priority. How are you showing your members that they are your number one priority? We're successful when we're focused on our purpose. When I came to this organization in 2014, we didn't have a purpose. People didn't know why they were coming to work every day. And I'm so pleased to say that our staff is so passionate about their job. They come to work every single day excited about the opportunity to impact our members' business positively. That's a purpose. Our board knows that that's our purpose. It's not our mission statement, but it is our purpose that we come to work every day to make a positive impact. So when you have that kind of enthusiasm for your organization and for your members or your customers, that's a culture that overflows into your membership. And I have to share a story that I'm really proud of. We were at a 12 at 12, which I shared with you earlier, and one of the members said, you know, Nicki, I have to tell you that when we joined the chamber, 12 years ago, it was always about what we could do for the chamber. He said, and I'm really happy to see that these last couple of years, it's become more about what we can do for our members. And I have to tell you all, that's exactly why I come to work every day. It's about our members, what we can do for them, because my goal is to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help them be successful. And their success is obviously our success. So a high energy, positive, collaborative environment, the answer is yes. Now what's your question? And I want our members to know that we're going to do everything we possibly can to make sure that we're delivering above and beyond. And then review and renew. Look, Businesses are changing every single day, whether it's technology, whether it's a merge, whatever it is. We're no different. So as a Chamber of Commerce, we need to make sure that we are dedicated to reviewing and renewing as is appropriate for our organization. So develop your own customer care program. If you already have one, review it, make sure it's current and that it makes sense. Member needs are ever changing, so you have to exceed their expectations. Develop your own survey or focus group, YPN, those young professionals. Bring them in, pick their brains, find out what they need and what they want. They are our future leaders. They're going to be the ones that are coming into the chamber or not. And our goal is to get them in, right? So what are you hearing from them? What are they telling you? Because what they're telling you is what they need. And if we're not fulfilling that need, we're going to lose them. There are other options out there. Whenever I send a thank you card for a new member, I say, thank you for choosing the Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce. We know you have many options, and we appreciate you choosing us, and we won't disappoint. So remember, we have to give them what they need, not what they think they want. Or if we've just been delivering the same way for years and years and years, it's time to stand back and go, it's time to change. Put the right people and process in place. This is absolutely vital. I will share with you that when I first came in, there needed to be some infrastructure changes because I had a very clear vision for the organization. And one of that was having passionate people in the positions here. And that's key for the success of what I believe for my organization. And you need to make sure that the people that you're bringing in can align with what your customer care program is, what your standards are, what your vision and mission is, all of that. They have to align with it. They have to buy it. They have to believe in it. Because if they don't, then everything that you do will not be 100%. A proper hiring process. There's a great article on Entrepreneur on how to do that. Sharing your customer care standards and effective customer service training. This is really key. We have someone come in and talk to our staff, a few times a year on the importance of customer service and what we can be doing better in order to meet the needs of our ever-changing membership. So the first step in exceeding expectations is to know them, and I talked a little bit about that earlier, that we have, a list of expectations, and this is what we can do for you, but it has to be a partnership, and I often refer to that to our members, that we have a business partnership, and I want to make sure that I'm fulfilling my end, but you have to make sure that you fulfill your end. So treat all of your members' issues with a sense of urgency. This is very interesting. 94% of customers who are able to get their issues resolved quickly are more likely to do business again with you. And remember, I mentioned earlier in the presentation that we had a reputation that if you want to hear back from us, wait 2 weeks. We now have a 24-hour turnaround. We never let any email or phone call go longer than 24 hours. It's urgent. Their issues matter, and we have to let them know that that's the case. So as you can imagine, our customer care process is always in the works. It's never, okay, we're done. It's sort of like the strategic plan, right? We're always evaluating it and making sure, is it relevant? Are we meeting the needs of our members? Are we hearing good things? And you won't know that unless you're asking. You don't want to survey people to death, but I think we can all agree that surveys are a great way to kind of put your thumb on the pulse of your membership, but it's also having those opportunities to interact directly with them and ask them, are we doing a good job? And if we're not, either your retention numbers will show you that, or you're going to hear it from your members. Remember, what works now is going to change because, again, business is ever changing, and a chamber is a business. And so we need to make sure that we keep up with everyone. And if you're not in touch with the needs of your members, you know that they have plenty of other options. A couple of quotes that I thought were really valuable is that our chambers face tough choices between staying focused on their mission and making money, but I believe that we can do both. I believe that we can have a strong mission and that we can be successful from a financial perspective. But first you have to define your vision in terms of what your organization will be rather than it will do. We can talk all the time about how great our events are, but at the end of the day, our members want to know how that's going to impact their business for success and for growth. So that's it. I know that was a lot of information, but I guess now is a great time for questions.
Okay, well, thank you, Nicki. That was awesome presentation, and really appreciate your story of how you developed your chambers, or you and your chamber developed your customer care program, and the specifics and the overall vision. And yes, please, everyone, now it's time for questions. So to ask questions, if you haven't already done so, please type them into the question box, which is on the webinar panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and I will get through as many as we can. So the first question, Nicki, is this pertained to when you said you took time to call members after a certain period of time during that first year. And the question is, do you just call the Chairman's Club level members since you're pressed for time, or do you mix it up with smaller businesses?
That is such a great question, because some of the feedback that I got when I first came in here was, you don't care about small business. You're only interested in the people that give you a lot of money. We have changed that perception, because I call, whether it's a basic level member or one of our chairman's member, and let's be clear too, for our chairman's circle and president's circle and even our executive premier members, their process and how we engage with them is very different. There's a whole other process in place, and our retention is pretty strong for that. That wasn't the issue. It really was our small and medium-sized businesses that felt like we just weren't connecting with them. So I reach out to all levels of business.
Okay. Next question is, what is on the what to expect when you join the chamber sheet?
I'm happy to attach that and send it to people. It's sort of like, you know, if you were to create for your employees what to expect when you're working for our chamber, right? What 10 bullet points would you put down, what to expect? And I think the first thing that we have on that list of expectations is you need to get engaged. But that's all fine, well, and good to say that. Our role as a Chamber of Commerce for a lot of these organizations, especially our smaller businesses, is teaching them how, right? We can say get engaged. A lot of them don't know how or where to start. It's overwhelming. So we will show you how, but then it's up to you to take those steps to get involved.
Okay, and Nicki, if you send that to me, I will post that sheet with the recording, so we can have it all in one place.
Okay.
Next question is, talks about this very strong and detailed first-year member retention plan. How do you scale that plan to longer-term members?
Well, here's what we're finding is that we are in our second year of this specific first-year member program. And what we have found, which is so fantastic, is because this program is so effective, by the time they get to their renewal and become your second, third, fourth year members, they're naturally more engaged. However, we also have two MECs, two member engagement coordinators. Jerry's role is just first year members. The other MEC, her role is house accounts. So every month, she gets a list of members from our membership department, and her job is to go through that list and call every single person. Here's the advantage to that. Number one, they're like, why are you calling me? Do you want money? No, of course we don't. We really are interested in your level of satisfaction with the chamber and how we're doing. They love that. But the other thing is, how many times have you had a member that has not paid only to find out later that they were transferred, the contact person was transferred, no longer there? So this is a great opportunity, too, to make sure that our information is updated and valid before we start sending out actual renewal invoices.
Okay. Nicki, how long has the member engagement coordinator been in place?
So we created the position about a year after I was here, and the woman who actually helped me start it left after the first year, but helped me hire the incoming who we have now. It's Jerry. And it's definitely making sure you have the right personality to be able, like Jerry has, and so did my previous MEC, had a business background. They were familiar with chambers. They hadn't worked for a chamber, but they were familiar with chambers, and have an uncanny way of making people feel comfortable and building that trusted relationship. So it's been 2 years that we have had that member engagement coordinator role in place.
Okay. And how large is your chamber?
Just shy of 1,200 members, about 1,184.
Okay. Here's a question about your success orientation. What do you do in your success orientation?
Great question. We changed it. Actually, it took us a while to kind of come up with a formula that we felt was best. So for the first half hour, we actually let them come in and eat their lunch and just network, right? After that, I get up and I share a little bit about my history and my hope for their experience in the chamber, and then we introduce them to each of our staff members, because that was something we heard. They didn't even know who our staff was and what they did. So we do an introduction to our staff. We have a video. We rebranded this last year. So we have a video that just shows us, you know, from old to new, and sharing that video. And then we have a couple of our members who will share their experience as a new member and what they found to be most useful. And then we finish it up with networking. And that has been very successful. Like I said, we now, since we've gone to every other month, have anywhere from 35 to 40 or so people attend.
Okay. Here is a question about terminology. This person says, we often use partnership and collaboration verbiage with our members and less membership verbiage. However, we are still the membership department with staff titles including membership. Does it make sense to change titles to partnership, engagement manager, etc., and move away from the membership wording?
I think whoever asked that question is onto something. I think that's a great idea. Again, you know, as I was sharing, we need to constantly take a look at ourselves and say, you know, are we holding ourselves back? And something as basic as terminology. You know, even this program, you know, our members are our customers. And whenever I write that handwritten note that I write to all new members, and the second line I say, I look forward to being your partner in business and your resource for success. So partnership is big. We also talk about remember I talked about having an area of expertise. One of the things we really pride ourselves on is the ability to create power partnerships, to introduce people to those that we feel would be a lovely reciprocal relationship. And we found that to be very attractive for our members. Again, small, medium, and large size, not just one, but all of our members. And so our power partnerships have been very valuable as well. But I love that idea on rethinking. Just because it's what we've always done doesn't mean we have to keep doing it. So I love that.
Next question has to do with surveys. We haven't had good response to our member surveys. How do you get folks motivated to participate? I like that question.
Yeah, first of all, incentivize it, which we give away a gift card. And this is a little sneaky, but it works. It comes from me. It doesn't come from the Naper Chamber or from Kara, who's our events program. It comes from me. So we found that the open rate went from like 18 to 22% to up to 36, 38%.
Okay.
And don't send them out all the time. Make them meaningful. That's what we found. We were sending out surveys all the time. So now we might do 2 to 3 a year, and that's it.
Yes, that's great. Do you have the 12 at 12 monthly?
No, I do it every other month. Every other month.
Okay. And I think this is related to one of the previous questions. It says, can you share some of the expectations on the list you give when a member joins?
Yeah, I'm happy to give that list to you, Susan, and then you can just share it with the attendees. Sure.
And there's another question asking about whether slides will be shared, and yes, they will. All the Nicki's presentation slides will be posted with the recording, and you'll see those no later than Monday. Question about retention. Were the retention numbers you quoted first-year members only or overall membership? If it was the first-year members only, what was your overall membership retention numbers?
So that includes both first-year members and our long-time members. So yeah, so overall. But what we found is that 86% was a pretty good reflection of our first-year members. By the end of the year, that first year, we saw that because we don't have a lot of drops from longtime members. Our biggest bleed was from our new members. And here was my disadvantage too. When I came in the year prior, they had done a phone, I believe they call them not a phone-a-thon, but like a fundraiser calling people. And we found that it was like 68% of people who had joined through that had dropped. So that did not bode well for me my first year.
Okay, we had a couple questions on how do you get your board of directors more involved with your membership?
The first thing is purpose. They have to buy into the purpose of the organization. Also, if you don't do a board orientation for every incoming board member, you should. That is absolutely crucial, because part of that board orientation talks about expectations for your board and what they are expected to do and how they are expected to participate. So you may say, well, it's one thing to give them that, but then who's to say that they don't, they sign it, but they don't follow through with it. We've really changed how we enforce those expectations. We have a sheet that we hand out at every board meeting that shows the participation from our board members. But you know what, when your mission and your vision is really clear and you engage your board members, whether it's to be on a committee, they need that direction. Remember, they're all volunteers. And you will always have that 80-20 rule where you're going to have 20% that are disengaged and 80% that are engaged. At least that's the way that it should be, and I believe that that's a pretty healthy board. But as a leader, it's our role to find a strong chair, right? And that chair needs to manage your board, and those expectations need to be reinforced. And when I came in, we did have our board was a little apathetic, but over time our expectations have shifted, how we've managed our board has changed, and it's made a big difference. I don't know, there's a woman, her name is Joan Garry, Joangarry. She is an amazing not-for-profit guru and has some of the best articles about board management. I would encourage you to visit. She's funny, she's smart, and her information is incredibly valuable.
Joan Garry, Garry?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. We have time for a couple more questions. Here's one. Have you run across any service tactics that you were surprised didn't work or pay off in servicing a member? And what have you done to provide programs that don't involve having to physically be at an event?
Yeah, so I'm going to take the latter part of the question first. We have to find something else other than programs. One of the things that I think we all need to realize is that if I want to learn about leadership, I can Google it, and there's 30,000 articles about leadership. So we just have to be more creative for those members that can't or don't want to attend things. Those are the ones that we ask when we look in the contacts and know that they haven't been to anything. What are we missing? What is it that you need? Those are often the ones that are very interested in the partnerships, the power partnerships, making an introduction to someone within our chamber that we feel would be a really, really good connection for them. And I don't mean, someone wanting to connect with somebody in one of the bigger organizations. I mean someone that we know that it will be a great business connection for them. Maybe they have similar personalities. Maybe their businesses are complementary, like a beauty salon with a clothing store, for example. It's not the best example, but you get what I mean. So we have found that has been far more important sometimes than programming. Also, it's the time that we do our programs. We tried to do webinars. I was sharing that with you, Susan, and we didn't have great luck with that. And ACCE does a great job anyway, but we struggled with that. So some of the services or some of the things that we tried that didn't work, I think we learned as we went along. So off the top of my head, I can't think of something that didn't work because we were learning and just implementing as we went along. I think the biggest challenge was to organize it and to to systematize it, to create a system and a process for what we're doing now. That was time consuming.
And sort of relate to that, or another challenge, I guess, how are you engaging the retail and restaurant members?
Oh, yes, that's a great question. So for our restaurants, we started something, and actually I got it from another chamber member, that we asked them, it was like a no-cook Tuesday, and so we reached out to our restaurants and we said, hey, oh, this is something that didn't work. Here's a great example. We said, hey, we're going to start doing this no-cook Tuesday. You send us a special. We'll put it up on social media that, hey, Sullivan's tonight is offering, 30% off an entree, whatever. Well, here's what we found, that our restaurants wouldn't even get back to us. So what we started doing is we have staff Fridays where we go out to restaurants as a staff and we take a picture at that restaurant and we post it. They love that. That has been very valuable. For our retailers, we started, again, it's our Friday thing, Staff Friday favorites, so we'll go to their stores, take a picture, Nicki loves Naperville Running Store, and to take a picture. We also will do an event at a retail store. So a new clothing store that just opened, can we bring our young professionals in there and do, one of our programs? Absolutely, it's a great way to open up their store. But we also do our ribbon cuttings. That's always a great one for those stores, but obviously on an ongoing basis. We also push constantly to our members. You joined to get business, you need to give business. And we recently did an impact study for our members, and what we found was 97% of our members are likely or more than likely to shop with other chamber members. We were really impressed with that. So that pushing to shop with other chamber members has been very effective.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, folks, we're past 3, so we're out of time. There are a few questions left, but I will send them to Nicki, and she will respond individually. So we'll get those questions answered. And thank you so much for all of your participation. There was one question on how to find the recording and the presentation slides and that what to expect sheet. So if you go on the ACCE website, www.acce.org, click on Professional Development, hover over ACCE University Online, and then click on Webinars. All of our webinars that we've done over the past several years in reverse chronological order are listed there. You just click. This one will be right at the top. You click the thumbnail and the recording will pop up, and all slides and other materials will be right there. So as I said, look for that no later than Monday. So thank you all for your participation. Thank you, Nicki, for that great presentation and for sharing your chamber's journey with this important issue, and we really appreciate it. So have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Thanks for participating, and we will see you on the next webinar. Bye-bye.